Hello, hello, beautiful people. Today is Boxing Day 2025, and I wanted to make a quick video about something very, very important that may and at some point will come up during your meditation retreat, during your session, as we call it in Zen, that needs to be addressed and something that is part of a journey, and yet you have to be aware of it. It sneaks through our practice and it derails our practice and it makes us believe the world is falling apart and we're no good and that sort of thing. And that is called Makkio. I'm quite fond of the name Makkio instead of ego or allow ourselves and so on, which are valid. But Makkio isn't just ego per se, but is part of ourselves that does not want to go further in our practice, in our spiritual journey. Obviously, as you have experienced, there is a part of ourselves that is really wants, that is really dedicated to our search for freedom. It wants freedom. It knows intimately a sense of freedom, something beyond, something that is my teacher calls the great mystery. And that's why we do Zazen. That's why we read the books that we do. That's why we contemplate something further. But at some point, there's also a part of ourselves that does not want to let go, that is attached to the way things are, that does not want to go further because is afraid it might dissolve into nothingness per se. And that part is called Makkio. Now, I've been told at the beginning Makkio comes up, which I've experienced it, and also towards the end, before we have our breakthrough, this Makkio will become stronger and will come up. And the best way I can describe it in my own experience is like a feral cat. It's like adopting a feral cat. You feed it, it loves you, but it will hiss and bite you whenever chance it can. And it is so with us seekers and meditators. We want that freedom, we enjoy it, and all of a sudden the next day we just don't feel it. So yeah, that's Makkio, and it will come up. But it doesn't come up like saying, oh, you know what, you shouldn't go further, stop it, what are you doing? Go play some games. No, it comes the other way around. It can come up of jitters before Zen retreats, which I've experienced many times. You have these jitters and you know deep down 100% certainty that you should not be there. Why waste your time? Why fly hours? Spend all this money to go to a retreat? Come on. We know better than that. And I told my assistant teacher that I know I shouldn't be here, but I am. And she said, that's Makkio. Makkio also can come up in the sense of distractions, which is probably one of the most common ones I have experienced. So you're at the recession around day 3, 4. You feel better. You're over the second day hump, so to speak. And then you think about what are you going to do when you go back. You think about your work, money. You just feel good. You feel chatty. You just want to talk to other people during the work period. And very often that's Makkio. And I remember going to my interview in the morning with assistant teacher or with teacher in the evening. And I would say, you know what, I feel good. I just want to do something for humanity. I think I'm going to start a charity when I go back. And the assistant teacher says, hey, listen, we're not done here. You have 3 or 4 more days. This is Makkio trying to derail you. Basically, very often, whatever comes up, no matter how beautiful, no matter how glittery, no matter how noble, like feeding the hungry, that sort of stuff comes up, which is a valid point. During the session, during retreat, is usually our Makkio trying to lead us away. It's like a magician using smokes and mirrors to distract people from what's really going on behind the curtains. Yeah, so it can be like an angelic thing, like, oh my God, I need to serve the world. Oh my God, I need to help my parents out. Oh my God, I need to feed the hungry. Or oh my God, this is so good. I need to go to such and such temple in India, in Japan, in China, wherever, and just dedicate myself. These are all distractions of our Makkio, right? And Makkio has come up in many, in all the spiritual traditions in the world. And with Buddha, as I mentioned it many times, it's when he was before a breakthrough, apparently, and Makkio came up. And First, she came as a form of Mara, with her daughters dancing for the Buddha in order to seduce and distract him and lead him away from his practice, leading him away from going further. And he didn't budge. So she came up, he or she, Mara, really came up and said, "You're not worthy. Why are you even bothering with these things?" And before that, Mara came up and with all these demons, soldiers fighting, and Buddha did not budge. Why didn't Buddha budge? Because he knew that whatever he saw externally wasn't a representation of Makkio from within himself. So he saw Mara as part of himself, those dancing people part of himself. And that's how we also can overcome our Makkio, right? By recognizing it's just a part of ourselves that wants to distract us. So many times I would just between day 3, 4, my mind would wander about my dating life, about business, about what I would do to catch a flight back home, who would give me a ride, what hotel would I stay in overnight. And then I would recognize it with the help of this teacher and assistant teacher that that's just a Makkio. And the question that really helped me by asking myself, listen, if those things were good for me, if doing charity work was good for me, if business was good for me, if relationships were good for me, why now? Why didn't they help me before the session, the last few years? And when I answered it and I cannot answer, when I ask that questions and I cannot answer it, I know it's Makkio, basically. But it cannot be in forms of distraction. It can be also in the form of some sort of subtle seduction. I know early on this imagery comes about sexuality, about beautiful things in life. I remember one time, and I mentioned it before, I was in my couple of first sessions, and whenever I would close my eyes, I would see this beautiful woman, just beautiful young woman. She was just perfect in a way. Perfect teeth, perfect hair, perfect accent, perfect ethnicity, perfect everything. And whenever I close it, it would just talk to me and it says like, "Why aren't you talking to me?" in a very beautiful, classy, seductive way. And I just laughed because I knew it was my Makkio. There is no way I could have this kind of perfection of an imagery. So these things will come up and it's normal. The most important thing and how to deal with it, that's how I have been taught to deal with it, is first of all recognizing that it's part of the path. It's a normal thing, right? It's like a crying baby on an airplane. It's just part of a trip, right? But the most important thing for me in my experience and what Zen has taught me is to accept them, recognize them, experience them, and let them go. Right? Because if you try to avoid them, if you try to fight them, they become even stronger. Obviously, right? It's like having a road rage with somebody and yelling at them. It makes things just worse. So we want to recognize it, experience it. Yes, this is a beautiful woman talking to me in my mind, and then letting it go. Just going back to our practice with loving kindness. And loving kindness for whatever image or thought comes up. And then moving on. Because if somebody is bothering you on the street and you don't answer them and you keep going, eventually they will stop bothering you, usually. So that's what has been working for me, and that's what Zen teaches. Don't indulge in it. Don't get angry about it. Don't push back against it. Just experience it for a moment, but let it go. Go back to your practice. And sooner or later, if you don't lend your energy to it, it will just disappear, right? But recognizing it is the most important thing. And honestly, a good teacher will guide you. I do not know any substitute for a good, experienced, authentic, able teacher, because a teacher can smell it away from you. I remember one time I was thinking about buying a small piece of land not too far from the Zen center, and I mentioned it to somebody, and my teacher said, "No more real estate talk in this session. Do it afterwards, because that's your Makkio." And sure enough, I dropped it like hot potatoes. So once you are told by a teacher that it's Makkio to let it go, then you recognize in yourself and you let it go. But the most important things is not to fight it. And the one thing I wanted to mention is, as my teacher told me, and I could not believe it, she said, look, what you're experiencing. One time I wanted to discontinue my practice. I didn't want to go too many sessions because I had two difficult sessions, one after the other. And she said, you're exactly the same spot as the Buddha is. And just keep preserving. Do not change anything. Just keep going. You're doing great. You don't see it, but it's great. And that's what I did. So we have to recognize that, yeah, it might not be Mara dancing with her daughters, but the woman or the partner showing up in your um, mind during a session, during a meditation, it's the same thing as the Buddha. Those women dancing for her, those figures dancing for him, trying to seduce him. So we too have to be careful. We have this beautiful imagery in our mind to do it. Another instance where Makkio was at work is with Jesus. A lot of the text has been deducted from the Bible, but what we know is that when he was in the desert for 40 days, 40 days fasting and meditating, obviously, and contemplating, the devil showed up, which is part of himself, I would imagine, and said, look, I will give you, he showed the images of the seven kingdoms or something about like that, and said, hey, just give up your quest, start worshiping God, which is give up your quest, stop seeking for true freedom, and I will give you these seven kingdoms. And Jesus said, no thanks, I'm okay. No, we might not have this sort of image of seven kingdoms, but it might come up as a way of new business deal, making money, dating. Travel for me was a big thing early on, till my teacher said no more traveling. And those things come up, and we have to realize we are just like Jesus, we are just like Buddha. These things will come up, and we have the same temptations, and we can reach the same freedom, right? And that was a amazing recognition for me, that we all have that sort of holiness in ourselves, that kind of potential, right? And there's a commentary on Mu, which says, if you cross that barrier, that invisible barrier, you will be face to face, on hand in hand, with all attained human beings, all our ancestors. So we truly become, I've been told, we truly become Jesus, we truly become Buddha, we become all those amazing human beings. We are no different. So we need to recognize it. And as they had to go through those trial and errors, we too have to do the same thing. But the most important thing has been, in my experience, to understand Makkio and realize how it works, the dynamics of it, and then things become 10 times easier, 100 times easier. It's like knowing that there's a thief at work that may steal your belongings at any moment, but after we recognize who that thief is, then everybody can relax and they do not need to be anxious about it anymore because we know who it is. So once we recognize that a lot of our mood swings, even in our practice, are actually Makkio, then we can really relax and watch out for it, but not in a tense way, but just in a relaxed, comfortable way. Another thing that I wanted to mention, many things that seem like mood swings in the practice of meditation, which I've made a video about, is the ego's pullback, really. So we go further, we have a day or so, a week, couple of weeks of amazing progress in our practice of meditation or in a retreat, and then we have a harsh day that nothing seems to be working. Oh, they can seem at that time very frustrating. Your breathing work isn't working, whereas yesterday was perfect. You just hate other people there, maybe. And that's again Makkio. That's our ego trying to pull back. And what do you do with it? You just recognize it, relax, and do not get attached to any progress. You just do what you're told to do, and it will go away, and you will gain the wisdom out of that struggle or apparent struggle. And I remember one instance. This is the last story, really. One instance, I had an amazing session, but somebody had said something at the opening ceremony about um, breathing, not loud breathing, and I thought they were talking about me, which they probably were. I was new. I didn't know how to keep quiet while I'm breathing. My breath work, and it was an amazing session, and I didn't have any Makkio at all, or it seemed that way, until the very last sitting on the seventh night, when I could swear I heard somebody complaining about someone loud breathing in there. It was during the walking meditation, I believe, talking to the assistant teacher, and I could not stop it. And during the break, I just asked her, I was half in tears. So like, did someone complain about my breathing? And she said, no. Why would anybody talk about your breathing? Your breathing is perfect. It's fine. And I just was in tears. And I realized that it was Makkio. It was an amazing session. They're all amazing. But even to the very last minute, the very last moment, when the gong hits and it's officially over, and even the night, a lot of people still continue with their practice in the morning. We have to be on guard of Makkio and be aware of it. Things come up. And for me, the very last sitting, the very last meditation period of the 7 day session was when Makkio was trying to deceive me and derail everything. And thankfully, thank God for the teacher and assistant teacher that I have. They made me become aware of it. And once you become aware of it, then nobody needs to tell you. You just know instantly. You just know that it's Makkio messing with you. So yeah, that's it. That's Makkio, and we will deal with it until we have a breakthrough, and maybe even afterwards. Who knows? And it's just part of the journey. It's part of a journey. It's part of a journey. We have to embrace it. We embrace the good. We embrace the bad. We embrace the ugly. And they cease to be good or bad or ugly. They just one experience, really. A former teacher used to tell me, he would say, I can enjoy hot pepper, and he did love hot peppers. And also a lot of sweet candy, and he also enjoyed sweet candy. He had taught himself to enjoy both. And those things represent experiences in our life. The good, the bad, the ugly. They're all holy, they're all wonderful. So yeah, if you want to go on another session, if you want to go on another meditation retreat, it's a wonderful thing. I wish you all the best. And I wish you a happy new year, and really looking forward to talking to you next time. All right. Bye for now.